This video is going to be a look at the Ravens' first possession. One of the things that I've started to believe about this Ravens offense is that we start quickly. We get out of the blocks or out of the gate fast. This is the first drive. I love making these videos. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if people really enjoy them, where you see the entire possession. Sometimes I have to go edit out part of it if the NFL used maybe portions of these plays. But these are some of my favorite ones to do because I think it gives us an opportunity to see how offensive or defensive coordinators adjust, maybe what their plan of attack was. I'm going to show you guys the play rundown real quick. I showed this in the reaction video Sunday night, but the Bengals throw a lot at Lamar and Monken here on the first possession. Tampa 2, cover 3, man free on the third to last play of the drive. I think the 3rd and 3. Completion to OBJ for 10 yards. They go 3-man rush. Tampa 2 with a spy. Red zone Tampa 2, which is slightly different from a normal Tampa 2. Really, it's what they did with great success to Patrick Mahomes the last 2 years. Monken and Lamar, gave it all right back. They executed the plan perfectly. Lamar was totally on point from the get-go. Monken had the full use of personnel going. You can see it on the personnel list, the third column from the left. 12, 20, 11, 21, jumbo 22. There ain't much more. There's regular 22. And they set a physical tone. And you'll see it on the pin pull pitch, 1st and 10 from the 16 to Justice Hill. You'll see the video here in a moment. A couple of things to note. Monken is planting the seeds that the jet motion means nothing early in the game. And you'll see the jet motion, I think, twice on this drive. Maybe it's once and once on the second possession. And it didn't mean anything until it did. Late in the game, Duve on the fast sweeps. Now, jet is quarterback under center and the motion behind the quarterback. In the terminology that I was taught, fast is the quarterback in the gun and motion in front of him. There's a slight difference there in terms of some of the things you can do. But he puts that motion in place early, and we don't do anything with it until we decide to. And then finally, one-back runs are in play. Well, not only are one-back runs in play, but to the single receiver side, which is important because it makes people defend both sides of the formation. Let's get to the film. I understand the lead-in was kind of long. If you guys don't enjoy the possession videos, feel free to let me know. I want constructive criticism or feedback. First play, -25, all stops. 12 personnel, all stops out of flex versus cover 3 by the Bengals. And it shows you how good the Bengals corners are, how well taught they are, that when they're playing cover 3, the corners are they're supposed to read 2. If 2 sits, if 2 does anything that's not vertical, take 1 now. It just becomes man. It's just a quick read, and you can do that when you're a quarter split field pattern match, whatever you want to call it, type team that plays a lot of those coverages because you're used to reading receivers' routes. In any case, Lamar quick to likely, right side, boom, 8 yards. 2nd and 2, Ravens are in 20 personnel immediately, gone from 12 personnel to 20. Very next play. Twin slot, Ricard is on as the tight end. We run this play twice on this drive. Fake little motion, we do it later with likely. Stretch, outside zone, whatever you want to call it. Hill bounces it. Great job by Ricard. Him and Moses just collapse Sam Hubbard. Now, Moses kind of loses track, so I'm talking about these two here getting up on Hubbard. Moses kind of loses contact with Hubbard once Ricard displaces him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can see Moses has engaged him. Ricard displaces him completely. And from there, I think Moses believes that Ricard's going to take him over. So Moses moves on to Pratt, and Ricard moves up. So Hubbard basically got comboed and then left alone, which happens sometimes. But 3-yard gain got the first down on 2nd and 2. All right. 12 personnel first play, 20 personnel second play, 11 personnel third play. And the tight ends that are being used are being rotated, which is cool. It's a Tampa 2 look, if you ask me, with a slot blitz off the edge here. Bringing pressure to Lamar quickly. It's not a true Tampa 2 from the standpoint that the corners are going to stay in the flats. Only one corner stays in the flats. Down here to the bottom side, I think Mike Hilton pushes to the flats, and Owuzie drops back like a safety. But it's still a Tampa 2 look post-snap, if you ask me. You can see the delineation here. It's snagged flat up to the top side. Lamar doesn't take OBJ, but he's got a slot blitzer right in his face. Dances around. Just At that moment in the game, they've played against him before, but it's been a while since week 5 last year. They understood what they were dealing with immediately. And you guys know, if you watched the channel enough, whether Ravens fan or Bengals fan, I got a tremendous amount of respect for the Bengals defense. But when you encounter a quarterback that you just can't tackle, it's a horrible situation, because there's certain things you normally do that you can no longer do. I'm talking about as a defensive coordinator. All right, 11 personnel, 2nd and 7 after the 3-yard scramble. This is a beautiful throw and a beautiful catch by OBJ. His hands are ridiculous. Versus man free, he's going up against Mike Hilton. Great throw by Lamar, laser. OBJ pulls it in, no problem. 5-yard gain on 2nd and 7. So you've got cover 3 by the Bengals. You've got a Tampa 2. You've got man free. So they're throwing a lot at Lamar and Monken early, and Lamar and Monken are throwing right back. 3rd and 2, mesh. Tampa 2 again by the Bengals. You got the sit route here by Andrews in the middle of the field. He's going to end up getting the catch for a 9-yard gain. But then simultaneous to that, the mesh portion of it, you've got Zay Flowers and OBJ running the double drags. Ricard is going to go out into the flats, which is an interesting variation. You can see once everything has sorted itself out, Beckham through here, Zay Flowers through here, this linebacker leaves Andrews just for a moment, loses track of him, and Lamar finds him. No pressure. There's no pressure on Lamar at all. Cool play. Mesh on 3rd and 2. Wonderful. There's coaches out there who believe, rightfully so to some extent, that mesh is an unstoppable play. I know a guy who runs it 10 or 12 times a game at the high school level, and with certain variations. But Lamar, really comfortable here. I love the usage of Zay and OBJ on the drags. I love the usage of Ricard in motion, playing against those tendencies that the Bengals are well schooled on clearly. 1st and 10 after the conversion on 3rd and 3. 21 personnel spread ram. This is interesting. This is a Greg Roman play, okay? Not this play. It's a Greg Roman formation. Let me rephrase that. In 2022, this is draw like 80% of the time, maybe more. Be it spread ram, under center, fullback to the right. If you remember against the Bills, we tore them up with the draw. Justice Hill, I think J.K. Dobbins had to. Lamar always fakes the little hitch out here. People call it smoke screen. I was taught to call it a hitch, but it's just, sit here. Lamar fakes it out there. We should throw it at certain times. Then fakes the draw. Now, you've already got a guy dropping out of there, so he's not, going for the draw fake at all. But the point is, there's different variations off of plays that have already been built in. Because in the preseason, we did use spread ram and go draw, I think, twice. And, if you run something twice, the defensive coordinator is going to have knowledge of it. The really smart players on defense are going to have knowledge of it, particularly from whatever platform you're using in terms of the formation. 2nd and 3 after a 7-yard gain. Here's the jet motion being established. Oh, by the way, we've gone from 21 to 12 personnel, twin slot. So you've got 12 personnel down here, 2 tight ends. That's the slot side. It's tight slot. And this is coming in terms of the jet. But look what it does. It widens these guys up. And then we give to the inside zone on Gus away from the jet motion. You'll get the end zone angle here, and you'll see what a great job this is by John Simpson. You got the jet. It's just complementary play. Jet to one side. A little bit awkward by Lamar there with the fake jet. I'm sure things will get tighter there, but the jet's coming in terms of us actually using it with Duve or Zay Flowers. I like that we're not running it with Zay Flowers every time. Duve was the guy who had 2 big fast sweeps later on in the game. I personally thought he could have hit him a little harder. But here you go. Another thing to think about here, and I mentioned this many times, or once in this video, but many times prior to tonight. This is a one-back run play to the single receiver side. Off screen, over here, you've got Duve and another receiver. Well, Duve motions out of here. So you had 2. Now you've only got 1. We're running at a one-back to the single receiver side. I literally never saw us do that in 2022. We're keeping teams honest in terms of directional tendencies. Also, you're going to get a fantastic job by Simpson Working up here to Wilson. He doesn't get a huge piece of him, don't get me wrong, but you can see Lamar's handing the ball off. Maybe slightly overextended, but like I said, it was a little awkward, and Simpson gets up to Logan Wilson, allows the little cut by Gus, 17-yard gain. It's a beautiful football play, the jet motion. I know there's a lot of people who apparently only watch the NFL and high-level college football and think that it's not a legitimate scheme, but there's teams who use it to great effect, and I think the jet is coming from under center by the Ravens at some point this year as well. All right, so we got a 17-yard gain there. Come right back with Gus and 11 personnel now, not 12. So Andrews was on the field previous play. He's off now. This is the same exact play that Justice Hill bounced to the boundary behind Ricard, where I talked about Ricard and Moses comboing Sam Hubbard and then both of them leaving him. In this case, they're running it to Likely side, which I am really a big fan of. Force the dude to block, which he's trying to do, and he's gotten better at. And you're going to see a huge block that he makes here in a moment. Little cheap stuff by the Bengals linebackers they've been doing after the play since 2021. I really respect the guys. I think they're great players, but you don't need to do cheap stuff once the whistle's blown, even if it's drilled in practice, which I understand people do. All right, so a 2-yard gain. The Bengals stack that one up. 2nd and 8. You're going to get man free. There's a hold down here on CTB. Probably could have been called twice. 11 personnel, so Likely was on the field the previous play. He's still on the field. 2nd and 8. And it's going to be a target to OBJ late against man free. Zay Flowers getting held a couple of times. Pratt comes on a blitz, and man, I'm a big fan of Pratt. I mean, I'm a Ravens fan, but for real, the dude can play. And I enjoy his game a lot. He did not play well the other day. Justice Hill, a really nice job cutting down Logan Wilson as the first blitzer, and then Pratt loops around. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. He's difficult to tackle, clearly. From a Bengals perspective, you want Pratt to be able to make contact with him. In any case, let's check out the call down here if you haven't watched it already. I'll slow it up. Got one hold, and then a second one, and then finally let's go. I mean, he's pretty much holding the whole play. So it gives the Ravens a first down, 1st and 5 after that incompletion. And this is where the physical tone starts to be set. Again, you've got the jet opposite of the pin pull pitch. And the two guys you want to watch here is Morgan Moses and Isaiah Likely. Multiple people on social media have pointed out Morgan Moses. I mean, he's literally decleating Mike Hilton. But look at Isaiah Likely. We used to call that giving somebody a ride home from school. And taking him, dropping him off wherever house you want to. Don't take him to his house. Drop him off wherever you want to. Likely just literally takes a woozy all the way to the sideline. A huge smack by Morgan Moses. And they've got the right guy running this play, meaning Justice Hill, because Justice Hill's got the speed to get out here. And then when he commits downhill, did you guys see the play on the 7th possession? I think it was the 7th possession. He tries to run over DJ Reader. Who tries that? Who's got that mentality? There's probably a lot of guys in the NFL who do, but we got one. His name is Justice Hill. I love this concept out of the bunch. It's under center bunch. We also run the same concept with Lamar's feet here and the back to the side of the bunch, so bunch right A or bunch left A. But it's a beautiful play, pin pull pitch off the jet. I think the jet is coming. Another thing to mention here that I think is really cool that might show up later on in the season, since we're running the jet to this side, this guy's left unblocked. He would be unblocked on the jet as well. They're going to force him to defend the jet, force him to tackle it. Since he's being left unblocked, we're pulling the left tackle and wrapping him up on an outside run play away. It's essentially like a toss concept where what you're trying to set up is if this guy hits downhill, this last man in pursuit, well, not really last man in pursuit, the last blocker would be able to set up a wall for you to cut it back off of. Maybe that line's drawn a little bit too much towards the inside of the field, but the only reason I can explain that to you that way is because the team that I coached for like 6 years, they ran toss, and that's exactly what we taught our backside guard and tackle to do, and it showed up manifested on film many times. So 2nd and 4 after a 6-yard gain, a one-back power play. And what you want to pay attention to here is how good DJ Reader is. Don't mean to denigrate Simpson, but he gets tossed. Reader doesn't get credit for the tackle, but other guys do, but Reader made the play. So sets up a 3rd and 3. Not really a jet motion there, just replacing himself into the bunch. Sets up a 3rd and 3 where Lamar makes a brilliant play, and the Bengals go into their mode that's reminiscent of how they defended Mahomes at times. We would call this flex stack. So flex is 2x2 is what you got here. But as soon as you get a stack to one side, meaning two receivers tightly aligned, they don't have to be necessarily stacked right on top of each other. To one side was flex stack. If you had the same thing to both sides, that'd be tight flex. That was a way for our kids to understand what we were talking about, being able to communicate quickly. But it's a 3-man rush, red zone, a version of red zone Tampa 2, I think, by the Bengals. Basically, you're taking fifths here with your underneath droppers, and then you've got the spy and Hubbard, and no one appears open initially. 8 guys in coverage, filling all the lanes. Beautiful find by Lamar. People were upset at Logan Wilson. I mean, he's playing football. Yeah, he doesn't need to slam OBJ, but he's trying to make sure he's down. I mean, those things happen sometimes. Certainly don't want to see OBJ get hurt or anybody, but brilliant find by Lamar, if you ask me. Zay, Rashad Bateman, OBJ, those guys all are great at adapting during the play and finding open space. Hurry up, I think. So we stayed 11 personnel, and nobody gets to Logan Wilson. This is a same side run. I got it labeled as inside zone, but it's really just a same side run. You got Bunch and the A, and we're just coming to that side. We're trying to take everybody down and build a wall for Justice Hill to cut it back off of. As it stands, nobody can get to Logan Wilson. Huge hit. And look at the violence that Justice Hill runs with. I mean, there is no hesitation and no fear. It doesn't work. He doesn't run over Logan Wilson. That's a big starting caliber inside linebacker. So must have pissed Monken off, because we totally go jumbo 22 out of 11, and we go power strong, and they just couldn't stop it. Once Gus is able to get to the line of scrimmage and he's on his tracks, it's over in a short yardage situation. It really is that simple. Takes me back to 2018, 2019. Amazing to see Gus Edwards have an impact against a high-quality team. 10 carries, 62 yards. If you're a new Ravens fan and you haven't been able to see Gus Edwards run the football a lot, this is what he does. 10 carries, 62 yards. Pretty much what he does every week when he's teamed with J.K. Dobbins. Awesome to see, if you ask me. This first drive I thought was incredibly well executed. You had some physical concepts. You had mesh. You had snag flat. I'm going back to the the play-by-play. It showed really that we have 2 or 3 offenses all together at one time. Look at the personnel. I think a couple of those yards are wrong there, by the way. I don't think we were on the 12-yard line and then the 11. I think we were on the 10 and then the 9. But in any case, look at the personnel being switched, forcing the defense to switch as well between nickel and base, forcing them to basically play 2 different defenses, nickel or base, but they don't know which one's coming. And then it seems like our formations are interchangeable, meaning Monken expects you, if you're an 11 personnel, to be able to go do the job of a fullback or maybe a tight end. And he expects the receivers to block. I think that's pretty clear. These are fun videos for me to do. I'm not sure if you guys enjoy them or not. Certainly was long for being the first possession, but it was impressive. From that moment on, you had the feeling like our offense could get a lot of things done and accomplished against the Bengals defense. I thought we overpowered them at times when we needed to overpower them, but we out-executed them at times when we needed to out-execute them, and I thought we just beat them man-to-man at times when they went man-free. And then we had Lamar. I think 27 points is the floor if we play well against that team and don't turn the football over. You guys let me know what you think of that thought, what you think of some of the breakdown in the comment section. And if you enjoy these videos, feel free to let me know, and I can try to complete them for the Ravens or any other team as the season progresses. Appreciate you guys' time.